Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 563 based on novel. So let's start. This would be the first time Wang Lin would open his eyes on the immortal astral continent before he shook the entire continent. This was the first time he saw the immortal astral continent with his own eyes. This was the first time he felt the aura of the immortal astral continent himself. When Wang Lin awakened, he checked the heaven-avoiding coffin behind him. After he made sure there was nothing wrong, he checked the earth fire around him. How could mere earth fire burn Wang Lin, dare to burn him? The earth fire that had been extracted was simply really insignificant. He had the fire essence, so not only did the earth fire cause him no harm, it also sped up his awakening. Also, because this earth fire was from the immortal astral continent, a shocking change occurred when it merged with Wang Lin's fire essence from the cave world. This change was something that had never happened on the immortal astral continent before. This was a battle between a foreign fire essence and the fire essence of the immortal astral continent itself. If the fire essence of the immortal astral continent won, then Wang Lin's fire essence would be devoured and become part of the immortal astral continent. If that happened, Wang Lin's cultivation level wouldn't change and he would still have his fire essence. However, he wouldn't be the lord of all fire in the world, because the fire would belong to the immortal astral continent. But if Wang Lin won, then his fire essence would be above the immortal astral continent. He would become the real emperor of fire. Wang Lin looked at the fog above. He could feel a weak cultivator walking around him, constantly throwing seals and items he had never seen before. These items accelerated the fire and also helped with the function of the formation below. Strange power came from the formation, wanting to enter his body to carry out a series of changes. Even though Wang Lin was in a coma and didn't know what had happened, with his wisdom, he immediately made a rough guess. When I was unconscious, I was brought here by this person to be refined. From the looks of the formation, it seems to be related to puppets. Is he trying to refine me into a puppet? There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. In the cave world, no one had dared to try to refine him into a puppet. Even people like the sovereign hadn't, and dreaded him. Wang Lin didn't consider the formation worthy of his time. Although there were some mysteries to it, now was not time to study it. Wang Lin found the earth fire here more interesting. He ignored the Kang Ren, who was still excitedly refining and hadn't realized that Wang Lin had woken up. Wang Lin's divine sense spread out directly underground. He wanted to see where this earth fire came from. How did the fire of the immortal astral continent compare to his own fire? As his divine sense spread out, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light. He saw that under the mountains of the surrounding tens of thousands of kilometers was a mass of fire veins. This mountain range was located on top of a branch of an earth fire vein. The branch looked large, but in truth, it was really thin. It was connected to the main source that led to the unknown. Wang Lin's divine sense spread out once more, and he was shocked to find a complex network of earth fire below. The lower he went, the hotter the fire became. The fire veins looked like a giant fire formation. Wang Lin withdrew his divine sense. He had just awakened and wasn't sure of his surroundings, so it was inconvenient to explore by force. Although it is not inconvenient to go deeper, I can extract more fire to nourish my fire essence. Wang Lin pondered as his right hand gently hit the formation on the ground. With this, the entire Blue Dragon Sect trembled and all the fire under this mountain range seemed to be stimulated. It all surged like crazy from all directions and entered Kang Ren's cave. This sudden change startled Kang Ren, who was walking around and placing seals. He quickly retreated and formed countless layers of protection around him. The 9 puppets guarding the door and the 2 wooden ones charged out in front of him to protect him from the fire that had suddenly erupted. The moment Kang Ren retreated, a sea of fire surged inside the formation and turned into a pillar of fire. It burned up all the fog and blocked all lines of sight as it burned like crazy. The cave obviously couldn't withstand it, and countless cracks appeared, as if it was going to collapse. The 9 puppets before Kang Ren were hit by the fire and immediately exploded. There were also those 2 wooden puppets. They also collapsed without any ability to resist. Kang Ren's scalp went numb and his eyes were filled with despair. He watched the high temperature coming to devour him like the mouth of death. At this moment, a ray of ghostly light shot out from the fire and surrounded him. The fire went past him and didn't injure him. But despite this, having walked the edge of death, Kang Ren fell to the ground in fear. He looked at the fire that filled the cave, and fear filled his heart. What kind of person did I bring back? As the earth fire erupted, Virtual Cloud and his teacher arrived outside Kang Ren's cave. At this moment, the expression of the white-haired old man changed greatly. He quickly grabbed his disciple and retreated several thousand feet. As he retreated, the entrance to Kang Ren's cave collapsed and a heat wave surged out. All the pavilions on the mountain disappeared in a sea of fire. The surrounding mountains trembled under the fire as if they were going to erupt. This sudden change shocked the Blue Dragon Sect disciples. They all rushed out from their caves and looked down in fear. The ancestor is out. Why was there a change to the earth fire? Virtual Cloud's teacher looked gloomy as he stared at the sea of fire below. He looked at the cave Kang Ren was in. At the same time, 3 powerful auras came from the Blue Dragon Sect. They turned into 3 people that appeared beside Virtual Cloud's teacher. Among the 3 were 2 men and 1 woman. One of the men and the woman had white hair, while the other man was middle-aged. They all had the aura of third-step cultivators. Their cultivation levels were not low. The middle-aged man was at the mid-stage of spirit void. As soon as he appeared, he let out a roar at the sky. Disciples of the Blue Dragon Sect, listen to my command. The earth fire goes through a change once every 10,000 years. This time, it's a bit early, but don't panic. Quickly, set the heavenly water formation. His words echoed like thunder. The minds of all the Blue Dragon Sect disciples who heard this trembled, and they immediately sat down in the sky. Their hands formed seals and countless clouds came out of their bodies. The tens of thousands of disciples quickly created large formation. This formation rumbled as it appeared. From a distance, it looked like a large, dark cloud that covered tens of thousands of kilometers. This cloud was very dark, and it contained the tens of thousands of Blue Dragon Sect disciples that were present. At the same time, aside from the middle-aged man and Virtual Cloud's teacher, the other 2 third-step cultivators charged into the dark cloud without waiting for a command. They used some unknown spell and turned into 2 long dragons inside the cloud. These 2 dragons were almost 100,000 feet long. A moment later, they revealed their giant dragon heads and opened their mouths at the burning mountain below. Rain fell from the sky and large amounts of water came out from the mouths of the 2 dragons. Elder Li, you were the first one to arrive. What happened here? As the rain fell to fight against the fire, the middle-aged man gloomily looked at the white-haired old man beside him. The earth fire changes once every 10,000 years, and it should be 3,000 more years before it appears. There must be a reason for it to appear early. The middle-aged man's gaze moved away from the white-haired old man and glanced at the hunchbacked youth. This gaze caused the youth's heart to tremble, and he almost couldn't remain standing. Elder Jiao, if this is not the normal change to the earth fire, it might be related to the 3rd-generation disciple Kang Ren. Kang Ren. The middle-aged man frowned and couldn't recall this name. The white-haired man looked at the sea of fire below and pointed at Kang Ren's cave. This person has brought back 2 bodies from somewhere unknown, and the change to the earth fire happened when he was refining the puppets. The sect master and old ancestor went out to the Great Soul Sect. I have already sent out a message Jade, so they should be on their way back. Since it is possible that this is being caused by the 2 bodies Kang Ren brought back, then this old man will see what kind of bodies can cause the earth fire to change. There was a flash of killing intent in the middle-aged man's eyes. This change to the earth fire had caught the Blue Dragon Sect was off guard. Although there were no deaths, a lot of buildings had been destroyed along with large amounts of celestial herbs that were growing and in storage. The price was simply too big. As he spoke, the middle-aged man's body flickered and water vapor surrounded him. The water vapor turned into a bubble 30 feet wide and he charged down into the burning mountain to where Kang Ren's cave was. The door to the cave had long broken and there was nothing blocking him. The middle-aged man moved very fast and instantly arrived at the cave. He looked very fast, but he was, in fact, very cautious. He felt like this matter was somewhat strange. However, he didn't take it too much to heart. He was very proud of his strength. Just as he entered the cave, the middle-aged man saw a youth wearing the Dao robe of the Blue Dragon Sect. The young man looked like he was in a daze and his body was trembling. His eyes were filled with extreme fear as he looked into the depths of the cave, where there was a pillar of fire. Following the young man's gaze, the middle-aged man saw the pillar of fire in the depths of the cave, and his pupils suddenly shrank. He was someone who already had an essence, and he was at the late stage of spirit void. In the Blue Dragon Sect, he was above many and below few. Even on the entire Heavenly Bull continent, he was among the top. The moment he saw the pillar of fire, he vaguely saw a figure covered by fire with a coffin on its back. The middle-aged man felt an aura that made his heart tremble looming inside. What kind of corpse is this? The middle-aged man's expression was gloomy as stared at Kang Ren, who was stunned from fear. He let out a cold snort and walked toward the fire. He knew he himself had a high cultivation level, and he didn't feel an aura that was too strong coming from the person inside the fire. With that in mind, he charged toward the fire. He was originally not far from the fire, so he closed in on it with one step. The bubble touched with the fire and popping sounds echoed. The fire seemed to be pushed aside, making an opening for the middle-aged man. What wild cultivators dared to mix into my Blue Dragon Sect? If I don't refine you into a puppet, then we will become a joke in the Heavenly Bull continent. The middle-aged man took another step and his body was halfway inside the fire. The fire raged, but it didn't break the bubble around his body. However, just at this moment, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes and a cold gaze flashed. The expression of the middle-aged man changed as he felt a terrifying aura erupt from the white-haired man inside the fire. This aura was very strong, heaven-shaking even. Compared to it, he was like a firefly next to the moon. Terrified, the middle-aged man's footsteps stopped. "Scram out of here!" Wang Lin's cold words echoed and he raised his right hand. As he spoke, the entire cave seemed to become as cold as ice, and this coldness spread outside the cave. The falling rain seemed to almost freeze, and the sea of fire dimmed as if it was going to be extinguished. The middle-aged man felt this even more intensely. His body felt cold and cracking sounds came from the bubble around him. The bubble shattered and the middle-aged man turned pale as he coughed out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with fear and disbelief. He had lost control of his body. When Wang Lin spoke, it felt like 100,000 mountains had smashed into his body. The middle-aged man retreated again and coughed out more blood. He flew like a kite with a broken line and was swept out from the cave. Before the eyes of the tens of thousands of cultivators outside, the middle-aged man was thrown out and coughed out a third mouthful of blood. He was thrown out tens of thousands of feet before he stopped. His face was deathly pale and the fear in his eyes was indescribable. "Who are you?" The middle-aged man immediately let out a scream. This sudden scene not only shocked all the disciples of the Blue Dragon Sect, but even the two elders that had turned into dragons. Virtual Cloud's teacher's eyes widened and were filled with disbelief. Who is inside the cave? Even the late-stage spirit void Elder Jiao was instantly knocked back and seriously injured. Noisy. Amidst this uproar, Wang Lin's cold voice came from Kang Ren's cave. The moment this voice appeared, everything became quiet. Even the rain that was falling from the sky seemed to stop. The drops hung in the air and seemed unable to fall. Looking at how the rain was not falling, the white-haired old man's face was filled with fear. Word of law, everything freeze. This means he is at the arcane void stage or higher. Who is this person? Who did that Kang Ren bring back? This person must be famous in the Heavenly Bull continent, he can't be nameless. Inside the cave, Kang Ren's despair had reached the extreme. He saw the extremely high-status Elder Jiao get knocked back and then coughed out blood from just one word from the fire. He watched as the fire broke out, and knew he had caused a huge disaster. This? What kind fortune is this? That was an ancestor. Inside the fire, Wang Lin closed his eyes once more. When the fire erupted, his divine sense had already swept the area. There was no one here worthy of his attention. However, he understood that this was the immortal astral continent and that there were many powerful people here. He also heard the words outside. The sect master and old ancestor of the sect were out and were on their way back. The area here was vast, so much so that even third-step cultivators couldn't arrive in a short period of time even if they could merge with the world. However, the immortal astral continent was different from the cave world. Wang Lin had noticed this when he awakened. At this moment, the fire had surrounded his body and was constantly being absorbed and refined by him to nourish his fire essence. After pondering a bit, Wang Lin's right hand reached out. Kang Ren, who was trapped by Wang Lin, immediately flew into the fire, and Wang Lin grabbed his throat. His cold gaze looked at Kang Ren. Kang Ren's eyes met with Wang Lin's gaze, and his mind rumbled as if 100,000 bolts of thunder had exploded in his mind. He didn't resist at all, and his eyes were filled with fear. He looked at Wang Lin with despair in his eyes. Sen. Senior, have mercy. Wang Lin ignored Kang Ren. His divine sense rushed out from his right hand and entered Kang Ren's mind. After finding the memories he needed, he threw Kang Ren out of the fire and restrained him once more. Early-stage Arcane Void Sect Master and early-stage Void Turbulent Ancestor, Du Qing, Wang Lin frowned. Early-stage Arcane Void was not worth mentioning, but early-stage Void Turbulent was somewhat difficult. It is not convenient to open my storage space, as it is likely an accident will occur. So I can't take out my treasures and I can't use the Yi Sai puppet. As a result, I'll be at a disadvantage while facing a Void Turbulent cultivator. While pondering, Wang Lin absorbed a large amount of earth fire to nourish his fire essence, causing his fire essence to become even stronger. Forget it, I should leave this place to study the problem with my storage space. In addition, my other essences seem to have changed here as well. I need to familiarize myself first. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he made a decision. He had just arrived on the immortal astral continent and wasn't too familiar with the place. With his personality, he didn't want to be too arrogant. At this moment, he made his mind. His hand formed a seal and he waved it. The earth rumbled and even more earth fire rushed out. The fire filled the cave and some even spread out. From the outside, the middle-aged man saw this. Being able to cultivate to this point meant that he was not dumb, so he immediately saw through what Wang Lin was trying to do. He is going to run. The middle-aged man's expression was gloomy. What had happened before made him feel fear, but what he feared even more was the anger of the old ancestor once he returned. Once the ancestor became angry, he might just refine him into a wooden person. He had seen the old ancestor do something like this, and now his heart was filled with fear of the old ancestor. We can't let him escape before the old ancestor returns. Once he escapes, we won't be able to withstand the anger of the old ancestor. Thinking about this, the middle-aged man gritted his teeth and let out a roar. Li Changtian, Sunmingda, Hanshin, this person is going to escape. Don't let him escape, otherwise, the old ancestor will be angry, and you all know the consequences. All Blue Dragon Sect disciples, stop the heavenly water formation and activate the Dao Mumble. As the middle-aged man spoke, he suppressed his injuries and charged out. Behind him, the expression of the white-haired old man changed. He gritted his teeth and charged out. At the same time, the two dragons in the clouds twisted and turned into a man and a woman. The two thought about how terrifying the old ancestor was, and they erupted their full cultivation as they charged at the cave below. The four great elders of the Blue Dragon Sect, for third-step cultivators, were going to stop Wang Lin from leaving. The tens of thousands of Blue Dragon Sect disciples gave up the heavenly water formation under the command of the middle-aged man. Their hands formed seals and they all began to mutter. The mutter of tens of thousands of people echoed across the sky. The Dao Mumble spell was a spell of the Great Soul Sect. The Blue Dragon Sect and the Great Soul Sect had a very close relationship, so the Great Soul Sect had given the Blue Dragon Sect this spell as a sect protection spell. If you listened carefully, you would hear that these tens of thousands of disciples were only saying two words, Dao and Soul. Dao Soul. Soul Dao. Dao Soul. Their voices enveloped the earth below and entered the cave, reaching Wang Lin's ears. Wang Lin's heart trembled and he felt a force enter his body. It was melting his Dao intent and splitting his soul. This feeling immediately made Wang Lin feel irritated. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes as he let out a cold snort and took a step. With this step, he used the heartbeat thunder he had learned in the ancient tomb. The sound of a heartbeat came from his body and quickly spread out, becoming more violent. It directly collided with the Dao mumble spell outside. At the same time, as the four elders charged into the cave to seal it to prevent him from leaving, Wang Lin raised his right hand and reached toward the earth. He revealed a ferocious expression. Extract the soul of the earth fire. The Dao mutter echoed across the burning blue dragon sect, forming a strange sound. This sound was not sharp or harsh, but it had a strange power that made Wang Lin's soul separate from his body. Even his thoughts were affected, as well as his 7 essences. This technique was very difficult to perform alone, so it had to be used by a large group of cultivators. The Blue Dragon Sect disciples obviously wanted to use this technique to stop Wang Lin from leaving. Wang Lin had encountered this kind of spell in the cave world, but none had such power. It has to be said that he could currently fight against people who had gone through several arcane tribulance, yet he was still affected. This showed how terrifying it was. However, Wang Lin had comprehended the heartbeat thunder in the ancient tomb, and it was similar to this spell. His heartbeat was like thunder that echoed across the world. It became more violent as it touched the tens of thousands of Blue Dragon Sect disciples, making their hearts beat wildly. With this, they were evenly matched. Although Wang Lin was from the cave world, with his cultivation level, he was not weak even on the immortal astral continent. He stepped out from the cave as the 4 elders rushed in. His hand reached toward the ground. The earth of the entire Blue Dragon Sect rumbled and the fire that was underground surged out. The fire erupted from the cave and was even more intense than before. Wang Lin used the spell that extracted the souls of mountains and planets from the cave world. This time, he was extracting the soul of the earth fire vein. The entire heavenly bull continent contained a huge network of earth fire veins that branched off into many directions. It was like a large formation that was sealing some existence. With Wang Lin's cultivation level, he couldn't extract the soul of the main vein, but the branch under the Blue Dragon Sect rumbled loudly. As the rumble echoed and the fire surged, the expressions of the tens of thousands of cultivators and the 4 elders changed. The moment the 4 elders entered the cave, they personally saw Wang Lin surrounded by fire. Under Wang Lin's hand was a giant dragon head that was already too large for the mountain to contain. This was a fire dragon, and its whiskers were waving. The moment it appeared, the mountain collapsed. The rocks scattered everywhere, but they didn't fly far before turning to ash. The tens of thousands of cultivators watched as the mountain Wang Lin was in disappeared. The rumbling was still echoing in their ears as an entire mountain disappeared before their eyes. When the mountain disappeared, a fire dragon 100,000 feet long and with a head as big as a mountain came out from underground. The fire dragon had no physical body. It was made of fire and gave off an ancient soul aura. What kind of fire dragon was this? It was clearly the soul of the earth fire vein. Above the dragon's head stood a man. His white hair fluttered and his eyes were like the stars, with a coffin behind him. He stood there as if he was standing on top of the world. He gave off an aura that looked down upon the world. The fire that shined behind him made him hard to look at directly. The Dao mutter of the tens of thousands of cultivators in the sky completely stopped. Fear filled the hearts and souls of these tens of thousands of cultivators. It was as if the man on the fire dragon was one of the 9 sons. Their vision went blurry, and the only thing that remained was their trembling hearts filled with fear. This kind of person, this kind of momentum, and this kind of fire dragon was something they couldn't fight. The 4 elders were knocked back. The impact from the earth fire and the might of the soul of the earth fire was something the 4 of them could not resist. They had to retreat. Although their cultivation levels weren't low, they were like ants before Wang Lin and the fire dragon. This was Wang Lin. He was at the peak of the cave world. Although he had just entered the immortal astral continent, it was still the same. All of this happened in a few breaths of time. Standing on the fire dragon, it let out a heaven-shattering roar. Roar? This roar was heaven-shattering and caused the cultivators in the sky to cough out blood. They all retreated, and no one dared to block Wang Lin. They even made a path for him. The fire dragon's 100,000-foot body appeared and carried Wang Lin into the sky. We can't let him leave. Old Ancestor is on his way back and will be here soon. We just need to hold him for a moment. The middle-aged man's face was pale as he let out a hoarse roar. He charged out toward Wang Lin. The remaining three all gritted their teeth and desperately rushed out. Although they were afraid of the Old Ancestor's rage even more. If the Old Ancestor become angry, not even their Nirvana void cultivation could withstand it. The entire Blue Dragon sect was almost destroyed at this point. One could imagine the anger of the Old Ancestor once he returned. The four of them charged out once more toward Wang Lin. They were going to give it their all to stop Wang Lin from leaving. Wang Lin's expression was calm when the four of them arrived. He fused with the fire dragon and charged into the sky. He didn't care about the four of them blocking him at all. The middle-aged man was the fastest and instantly appeared before the fire dragon. His hands formed a seal and pressed down on the fire dragon. The veins on his face swelled and he let out a heaven-shattering roar. Shortly after, the white-haired old man appeared behind the middle-aged man. His hands formed a seal and he bit the tip of his tongue to spit out essence blood. The blood turned into a blood mist that seemed to be filled with evil ghosts and blocked the fire dragon. There was also the man and woman. Both turned into giant dragons to seal all paths. Mere fireflies dare to compete with the shining moon. A cold voice came from the fire dragon. The fire dragon closed in on the middle-aged man, and a thunderous rumble echoed. The middle-aged man's body was surrounded by large amounts of water vapor, but it all instantly evaporated. His hair began to burn and fire spots appeared all over his skin. This fire not only injured his body but also his origin soul and soul. After all, this wasn't ordinary earth fire but the soul of an earth fire vein. The soul of a branch of the earth fire vein was not something he could resist. Not to mention how Wang Lin's shocking cultivation made the impact of the fire dragon even stronger. The middle-aged man couldn't even last one breath. He felt like he was inside the furnace of the heavens and earth. If he didn't retreat, he would be burnt to ashes. The feeling of fear at this moment surpassed his fear of the Old Ancestor. He didn't hesitate to spit out blood and retreat hundreds of feet. Then he coughed out blood again and retreated like crazy. Only his arms, which had touched the dragon, had been mostly burnt. Although he had retreated, his arms were hit by wind and turned to ashes. The blood mist from the white-haired old man collapsed when it was hit by the dragon, and it smashed back into the old man. Popping sounds echoed as his body collapsed and his origin soul escaped with a scream of terror. At this moment, he no longer dared to stop Wang Lin. As for the two elders that had turned into dragons, they were swept by the fire dragon. The two dragons they formed collapsed and they coughed out blood. Just like the white-haired old man, their bodies exploded. Their origin souls escaped with a sense of fear they would never forget. The power of those four wasn't able to delay Wang Lin and the fire dragon for even a moment. With one sweep from the fire dragon, they were all seriously injured. The tens of thousands of Blue Dragon Sect disciples looked at this and were dead silent. The fire dragon charged into the sky and Wang Lin appeared on the head of the dragon. He looked down below. I didn't kill anyone. Today's matter happened because your sect desired to refine me into a puppet. Behave! Wang Lin left those cold words and left with the fire dragon under the fearful gazes of everyone here. He went further and further until he disappeared over the horizon. An entire sect couldn't stop one person for even a second. This kind of power and aura caused Wang Lin's figure to be deeply imprinted in the minds of all the people of the Blue Dragon Sect. This battle was destined to make Wang Lin famous in the Heavenly Bull continent. One incense stick of time after Wang Lin left, the three elders that had lost their bodies and the middle-aged man that had lost his arms were still pondering when the middle-aged man trembled. From the other direction of the world, a shocking roar of anger echoed. The moment the roar rang out, the world changed colors and the burning fire on the ground extinguished and turned into strands of black smoke that rose into the air. This roar caused the four elders' hearts to tremble. When they looked up, they saw two rays of light close in, and one of the rays of light almost tore the world apart. There was a figure inside the ray of light. It was a youth. His lips were red and his teeth were white. He had sword-like eyebrows and should have looked very handsome, but the anger he revealed made him look ferocious. He was too fast. He looked like he was far away and then instantly arrived above the Blue Dragon Sect. He looked at the ruins below and silently pondered. His silence brought great pressure and fear to the four great elders. At this moment, another ray of light arrived and turned into a woman. This woman was extremely charming and beautiful, but when she saw the ruins below, her expression changed greatly. She moved away from the youth without hesitation. This video will end here.